Hello, grade 9s. As you can tell, I've kind of lost my voice from coughing a bit too much, which means I'm not here to go through the discovery lesson with you. On discovery lessons like these, obviously I'd like to be there so I could go and help prompt you through. And it's going to be a little bit more challenging for me to do this via video, pre-recorded. But we're going to do the best that we can. A couple of reminders. You are working as a group at a whiteboard with one marker. You cannot write your own thoughts. So if you have something to say, someone else is writing it down. As you know, you could probably imagine from the other discovery lessons that we did, you are discovering and creating a rule at some point in time, which means when you come up with that rule, I want that rule to be explicit, where that anyone coming in from any context, if that was the only thing written on the board, could know exactly what we were talking about that day and exactly what you were talking about when you created that rule. So they wouldn't have to see an example and be like, oh, they're talking about this. And they wouldn't have to go, okay, I kind of get what they're saying. I want to see proper language. I want you to try and come up with a group the best way to describe explicitly what we're talking about. Okay, so how this is going to work is I am going to go through a slide, to talk about it very briefly, and then you're going to pause the video. And you're going to let them work for like 5 or so minutes, maybe 3, I don't know. And then you're going to I'll go to the next slide, I'll talk about it, and a couple of minutes let them work. That's pretty much it. I'm not really going to go through much for slides. And then in the next class, we're going to go through the consolidation of it all, I should say. Okay, slide 1. On this slide, you have 5 different fractions, okay? I want you to simplify every single one of these fractions to the best of your ability, and then come up with a rule for simplifying these types of fractions, okay? Just a reminder, in that rule, you are writing that rule down on the whiteboard, and that rule is specific so that if I hid all 5 of these fractions, I hid these examples, and someone came in and read your rule, they can picture what type of examples you were looking at when you came up for it. Okay, pause and you guys go. Okay, slide number 2. Slide number 2 is this. X to the power 5 divided by x to the power 5. I want you to write down every possible thing you can about this fraction. I don't care how tiny that fact is. I don't care how big that fact is. I want you to write every possible thing you can ever imagine about this. Remember, try and picture that you're getting paid like $100 for every fact. So it doesn't matter how important you think those facts are. You write it down because you want to get that money. Okay, go. Okay, next slide. The rule that you had before that you wrote down on the board, the one from that first slide, are you able to use it for this fraction? Why or why not? Talk about it with your group. Go. Okay, same fraction, next slide. When I looked at this fraction, I realized you already wrote everything you possibly could about this fraction, but did you at all simplify this fraction using exponent laws? Are you allowed to? Why would you be allowed to, or why wouldn't you be? And if you were allowed to, which of the exponent laws would you use? And when you use that exponent law, what does this fraction simplify to become? Okay, that is your task. Go. Okay, now this next slide, we are putting those two things together. you would have simplified this fraction using your original rule at the very first slide. Hopefully you use that rule to simplify these. You could use that to simplify these fractions. Then, hopefully you also were able to use an exponent law to simplify fractions. I want you to use both methods and show me what you get for these 5 examples. Go. Okay. Now, you used or just used 2 different separate methods to simplify these 5 examples, these 5 fractions. Okay? What do you think you can conclude about 0 exponents? So if I have a base raised to the exponent of 0, what do you think that would give me? Can you see if you can come up with a rule to get there? Go. Okay, at this point, the sub should have come around and taken a look at your rules. Okay? And they would let you know if you were on the right track or if you were on the wrong track and need to kind of think of a different way. Remember, there is nothing wrong with not getting the answer first, the first time you try. But it's about using what we see and going from there. Hopefully, the sub has led you all to a point where perhaps you can get to some conclusion that can help you solve the following examples. Here are 4 different fractions. Okay? I want you to use the conclusion that you would have made and just written down about 0 exponents to help you simplify these fractions. That's it.